Welcome to Into the Paradox, a podcast where we delve into the strange and unknown. I'm your host, Peter Kennedy. Today we're heading to the Yorkshire Wolds and the industrial areas of Hull, where a legendary creature has been terrorizing locals for centuries. Say hello to Old Stinker, an 8-foot-tall, foul-breathed werewolf with a reputation for being one of the most feared creatures in British folklore.
Peter, it's always a pleasure to dive into these sorts of tales with you. But I have to say, Old Stinker already has me intrigued and a little repulsed, all at once. An 8-foot-tall werewolf, that's quite an image.
Oh, it absolutely is, Martin. And the name, it really does justice to one of its most defining and frankly terrifying characteristics. The stories of Old Stinker date all the way back to the 18th century, but what's really fascinating is how they resurfaced with a vengeance in the 1960s, right in and around Barmston Drain, a remote and eerie area on the outskirts of Hull.
The 1960s, that's an interesting period for a resurgence. You often see these kinds of folk legends gain traction during times of social change, or perhaps when people are looking for something to explain the unexplainable. What exactly were these bizarre sightings describing?
Well, the witnesses consistently describe the creature as a massive, bipedal wolfman. And not just any wolfman, mind you. We're talking glowing red eyes and a stench so potent, so utterly foul, that they say it can literally knock you off your feet. Imagine that, Martin. The sheer primal terror of seeing something like that, coupled with an assault on your senses.
Glowing red eyes and an unbearable stench. Those are classic tropes for a reason, right? They immediately trigger a deep-seated fear. But the sheer volume of sightings, as you mentioned, that's what always piques my interest. It suggests more than just a single isolated incident or a drunkard's tale.
Exactly. And this isn't just a few scattered reports. We're talking about numerous accounts over decades. One of the most infamous incidents, one that really cemented Old Stinker in local legend, involves a dog walker named Malcolm Jones. He claims to have had a terrifying, truly face-to-face encounter with the creature.
Oh, I remember hearing snippets of that story. It's one of those that send shivers down your spine. What happened to Malcolm?
According to Malcolm, he was out walking his dog in the woods near Barmston Drain, a place that already has a reputation for being a bit isolated and unsettling. He noticed this strange, pungent smell, almost like rotting meat mixed with something else indescribable. Suddenly, his dog, which was normally very brave, just took off, bolting away in terror, and Malcolm was left standing there, face to face with, well, something that wasn't quite human, to say the least.
A dog's reaction is always a strong indicator, isn't it? Animals often sense things we don't, or react to stimuli that we might rationalize away. So what did he see?
His story is chilling, Martin. He describes the creature as a towering, wolf-like figure, easily 8 feet tall, with eyes that seem to burn with an inner, malevolent fire. And the smell, he said it was overwhelming, almost physically painful. As he watched in utter horror, the creature snatched his dog, just grabbed it, and disappeared into the dense underbrush. Malcolm was left shaken, absolutely terrified, but his story quickly became a local legend, fueling the mythology surrounding Old Stinker and making people think twice about walking those woods alone.
That's a horrific account. The loss of his dog, the sheer terror of witnessing something so impossible. It's the kind of story that becomes ingrained. But it also raises so many questions. Is this a genuine supernatural entity, a cryptid, or is there a more terrestrial explanation being distorted by fear and local folklore?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Now you might be wondering, what's behind all these sightings? Is Old Stinker a genuine supernatural entity, a true werewolf that roams the wolds, or just a product of local folklore and exaggeration, perhaps even a mass hysteria? The truth is, we may never know for sure. But what's clear is that the legend of Old Stinker has captivated the imagination of people in Yorkshire and far beyond. It's got that raw, primal fear that just resonates.
It absolutely does. The werewolf myth is ancient, found in cultures all over the world. But what makes Old Stinker distinct is its specific geographical ties and the consistent characteristics. It's not just a general big hairy creature. It's a very particular type of entity described over centuries. The specific location, Barmston Drain, also adds to the mystique. Is it a particularly desolate or isolated spot?
It is, very much so. Barmston Drain is a network of drainage channels and open spaces, often quite desolate, particularly as you get away from the immediate outskirts of Hull. It's the kind of place where, at dusk or in the dead of night, your imagination can easily run wild. There are lots of overgrown areas, old industrial relics, and it just has this pervasive sense of eerie quiet. Perfect hunting ground for something like Old Stinker, or at least perfect for breeding such a legend.
I can imagine. Those kinds of liminal spaces, where the urban meets the wild, often become canvases for folklore. It's where the known world ends and the unknown begins. But let's think about the smell aspect for a moment. That's a very visceral detail. Could it be a decaying animal, or something more mundane that's being misinterpreted?
Some skeptics have certainly put forward theories like that, Martin. They suggest it could be a particularly large, decaying animal carcass, or perhaps even methane gas from the marshy ground, which can have a very distinct foul odor, but witnesses are very specific. It's not just a bad smell, it's a pungent, unnatural stench, something they claim to have never encountered before, and always associated directly with the appearance or proximity of the creature itself. It's not just a smell in the woods, it's Old Stinker's smell.
That's a crucial distinction. It's the correlation. If it were truly a constant ambient smell, it might be easier to dismiss, but the synchronicity with the sightings makes it far more compelling. What about the physical description? 8 feet tall is immense. Are we talking about a large wolf that somehow looks bipedal in the dark, or something genuinely humanoid?
Witnesses are pretty consistent on the bipedal aspect. They describe it as standing upright, moving with a lumbering yet powerful gait. This isn't just a very large dog or wolf, it's something that walks like a man but looks like a wolf. The glowing red eyes are another striking feature, sometimes attributed to animal eyes reflecting light, but again the descriptions go beyond that. They talk about an inner fire, a malevolent glow, which suggests something more than just simple reflection.
It's interesting how these details stick. The red eyes and the bipedal stance are hallmarks of werewolf legends across the board. It almost feels like the collective unconscious of folklore, manifesting in a very specific place. Could there be any historical context we're missing? Ancient pagan beliefs, or something similar, that might explain the origins of such a powerful local myth?
Absolutely, Martin. Yorkshire, like much of Britain, is steeped in ancient history, pagan beliefs, and old folk traditions. The concept of shapeshifters, especially wolfmen, has deep roots. It's not hard to imagine that earlier, more primitive fears of the wild, of wolves that roamed freely, could have morphed over centuries into something like Old Stinker. The industrialization of Hull and the surrounding areas in later centuries might have also played a role. As the natural world was encroached upon, perhaps these legends served as a psychological outlet for fears about what humanity was losing, or what ancient forces might be disturbed.
That's a fascinating connection. So Old Stinker isn't just a monster story, it's a reflection of local history and human anxieties. The disruption of natural habitats, the growth of industry, it gives the legend another layer of depth. It's almost like the land itself is rebelling, manifesting as this ancient, foul-smelling protector.
Exactly. And you think about the isolated nature of these areas in the Wolds. Even today, you can find yourself in very remote spots where it's easy to feel completely alone. Before modern technology, before widespread streetlights and cell phones, those places would have felt truly wild and dangerous. The darkness, the unknown sounds, it's a perfect breeding ground for stories of creatures lurking just beyond the edge of human civilization.
It puts Malcolm Jones's story into even starker relief. Imagine being out there, probably feeling secure, minding your own business, and then being confronted with that. It's the ultimate disruption of your perception of reality. Do you think there's any chance of a genuine undiscovered species, a cryptid rather than a supernatural entity?
It's always a possibility in these discussions, isn't it? The cryptid angle. Could there be a species of large, unknown canid or primate that has managed to evade detection for centuries in remote pockets of the British Isles? It's a tantalizing thought. However, the consistent wolfman description, the bipedal movement, and particularly the glowing red eyes and the overpowering stench, often push it beyond what most zoologists would consider a conventional, undiscovered animal. It leans much more into the paranormal or mythological.
I agree. The glowing red eyes, especially. That's a supernatural element that's hard to reconcile with a purely biological explanation. Unless, of course, there's some very rare bioluminescent property we're unaware of, which is even more fantastical. So, what about the psychological impact on the community? Does the legend still hold sway today, or has it faded into mere historical curiosity?
Oh, it absolutely still holds sway, Martin. Maybe not quite with the same fervent belief as in the 60s, but it's part of the local identity. People in Yorkshire know the story of Old Stinker. Kids whisper about it, and even if they don't believe in it in a literal sense, there's a certain thrill that comes with driving past Barmston Drain at night or walking through those woods and thinking, what if? It taps into that primal part of us that loves a good monster story, especially when it's tied to our own backyard. It's a reminder that even in a highly modernized world, there are still corners where the unknown can feel very real.
That's the enduring power of folklore, isn't it? It transcends simple belief and becomes part of the cultural fabric, a way of understanding and talking about the darker, more mysterious aspects of our world. It's a collective dream, or nightmare, that we all share. An Old Stinker, with its sheer physicality and sensory assault, is a particularly potent one.
Precisely. As we explore the world of the paranormal, we often come across stories that blur the lines between reality and myth, between the psychological and the genuinely supernatural. Old Stinker is one such tale, a vivid reminder that, sometimes, the most enduring legends are those that tap into our deepest fears and anxieties, reflecting something unsettling within ourselves or the world around us. It's a story that asks us to confront what we don't understand, and perhaps what we're not meant to understand.
And perhaps that's the real lesson of Old Stinker, isn't it? Not whether it's real in a scientific sense, but what it reveals about the human psyche and our relationship with the wilder, darker elements of existence. A truly thought-provoking legend.
Absolutely, Martin. It certainly gives you pause for thought next time you're out walking in a remote area. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the paradox. If you have any stories or encounters you'd like to share, especially those connected to Old Stinker or other local legends, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you and explore them further. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the unknown.